Block 1. The silence before the storm. The florist called me before I even realized he was gone. "Hi, Emma. Just confirming final delivery instructions for Saturday. Do you still want the arrangements going to the Fairmont?" I froze. The Fairmont, our wedding venue, in 5 days. Only I hadn't heard from Nathan in 2. First it was a missed call, then a delayed text, then nothing. I called him, straight to voicemail, texted, no response. By midnight, I was spiraling. Was he hurt? Had something happened? I called his mom. She sounded distant. "I'm sure he's just overwhelmed, dear. You know how men get." Except I did know Nathan. Or thought I did. He was a systems engineer. Precise, reliable, never forgot a single date or detail. We'd been together 3 years. He proposed after I landed my dream job. Said he'd never felt more certain about anything. And now? He was gone. I didn't sleep, didn't eat. 3 days before the wedding, his best man texted, "He's not answering me either. I'll keep trying." 2 days before, the Fairmont called to confirm cancellation. I hadn't canceled anything. That's when it became real. He wasn't missing. He had left. Without a word, without an explanation. Just vanished. Until I turned on the TV and saw his face under a headline I'll never forget. FBI issues warrant for software engineer in massive crypto fraud scheme. Block 2. The man I didn't marry or know. The news anchor's voice was too calm for the chaos unraveling in my chest. Nathan Royce, 34, is wanted in connection with a federal investigation into the illegal acquisition and laundering of over $9.8 million in cryptocurrency through shell corporations tied to foreign accounts. My stomach turned. His name, his face, broadcasted on every screen, framed by red banners and legal jargon. They played surveillance footage. Him walking casually through an airport 3 days ago. A carry-on, a baseball cap, sunglasses. The same man who had kissed me on the forehead last week and said, "I can't wait to spend forever with you." He didn't look scared. He looked free. I collapsed on the couch. My phone started buzzing nonstop. Texts, missed calls. "Are you okay? Did you know? What's going on?" I wanted to scream. No, I didn't know. I didn't know he had 2 passports. Didn't know he'd used my address to register fake LLCs. Didn't know he'd used our engagement party as a front to meet clients. I was just his fiancée. Collateral damage in a life I never saw coming. The FBI showed up at my door that night. Flashed badges. Asked questions I didn't have answers for. I wasn't a suspect. But I wasn't just a victim either. I was a connection. A thread they needed to pull. And the more they pulled, the more I unraveled. Block 3. Tracing the lies backward. The FBI agents were methodical, polite but probing. They asked for Nathan's devices. He'd taken his laptop and personal phone, but he'd left his iPad. I handed it over. They asked about any strange activity, sudden purchases, trips, wire transfers. I remembered the envelope he'd hidden behind our bookshelf. I thought it was just insurance papers. Turned out, it was a ledger, a handwritten one. Code names, dollar amounts, dates, offshore accounts. My name was never listed, but our address was. Twice. "Miss Reynolds," one agent said, "we believe he used your financial history as a front. It made his records look cleaner." Clean. That's how Nathan always liked things. His suits, his apartment, his story. And now, I saw what I hadn't wanted to see. His story was scripted. The quiet man with the steady job and the soft voice. He was never real. He was a cover, a persona, built with the same precision he used to write software that siphoned millions from blockchain transactions no one noticed until it was too late. I found myself flipping through old texts, old voicemails, looking for cracks I'd missed. And there they were, subtle evasions, excuses that seemed logical, trips that didn't quite line up. And the worst part? I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was ashamed. Ashamed that I'd stood on the edge of forever and almost married a ghost made of lies. Block 4. The wedding that never was. The morning of what should have been my wedding, the venue was empty. No guests, no flowers. Just me, standing outside the Fairmont in a black hoodie, watching a staff member take down the marquee. Congratulations, Emma and Nathan. Reduced to plastic letters in a trash bin. I wasn't there to mourn. I was there to see it disappear. My maid of honor, Rachel, met me on the curb with 2 coffees and no questions. She'd stayed silent through the chaos, the kind of friend who knew that silence, when shared, could be healing. I brought a lighter, she said. I raised an eyebrow. What for? She pulled out the wedding binder, 3 inches thick, filled with plans, menus, timelines, dreams. We're burning it. You're not taking that crap into your new life. We drove to a cliffside beach where bonfires were legal, and we watched it burn. Guest list, vow drafts, the menu card that said honey-glazed salmon with lemon dill cream. I felt the flames eat months of planning, years of belief, and finally, the denial. He almost fooled you, Rachel said. I shook my head. He did fool me. But as the final page turned to ash, something shifted in my chest. Not closure, not forgiveness, just space. Space to build something new, not with him. With truth. Block 5, the chase. He didn't see coming. A month passed, then 2. The FBI still hadn't found him. Interpol issued a red notice. Articles circulated. Crypto con man dupes tech firms, disappears before wedding. They called him the digital phantom. I was mentioned in every article. Not by name, fiancé, unwitting accomplice, almost bride. But I saw the comments. How could she not know? She was probably in on it. Another gold digger, crying for sympathy. The court of public opinion didn't care about grief without a grave. So I went quiet. Until I didn't. I launched a blog. Anonymous at first. Title: Ghosted by a Criminal. I told the truth. Not about blockchain or shell accounts, but about gaslighting, isolation, how trust can be engineered. The blog went viral. Not for the crime, but for the pattern. Survivors of fraud, betrayal, long cons, they found me. They told me their stories. He took everything and I still miss him. I wanted answers, but all I got was silence. I didn't want revenge. I just wanted to not feel stupid. And that's when I stopped hiding. I put my name on it. And the next morning, I got an email from someone who used to work with Nathan. No subject line, just a sentence. I know where he is. Block 6. When the hunter becomes the hunted. The email led to a man named Lucas, a former developer at a crypto startup Nathan had consulted for. Lucas wasn't a whistleblower, not at first, but he'd seen something in my blog that struck him. You described the way he talks, the way he never actually answers a question. I thought it was just me. He sent me screenshots, old Slack messages, anonymized ledgers, digital handshakes. Then he dropped the bomb. He's in Buenos Aires. I traced the IP from a failed login to a cold wallet he tried to access. I forwarded everything to the FBI. They thanked me, politely, formally, but I could tell they were skeptical. That's when I made a decision. I bought a ticket. I didn't tell anyone. Didn't post, didn't text, didn't flinch. I flew to Argentina, hired a private investigator through a local contact. 3 days in, he found him. Living in a high-rise, under a new name, dating someone new. He was smiling in the surveillance photos, holding a grocery bag like he was just another expat. But I saw it, the same watch I'd given him for his birthday, still on his wrist. And in that moment, I didn't want to scream. I didn't want to cry. I just wanted him caught. Block 7. Bringing down the man behind the mask. The private investigator knew the right channels. Interpol had already flagged Nathan's alias, but he was moving cautiously, paying in cash, avoiding long stays. I handed over every document I had: emails, transaction records, screenshots of our shared bank account, where small unexplained withdrawals matched shell company transfers. The PI filed a formal report to local authorities, and I waited. For a week, nothing. Then, one morning, my burner phone buzzed. A text from the PI. They have him. News in 1HR. I turned on the TV in my Buenos Aires hostel, surrounded by backpackers eating toast and sipping espresso. The headline hit like a final verdict. Fugitive American tech executive arrested in Palermo district. The anchor listed his aliases, his charges, his extradition status, and finally, his real name. Nathan Royce. The man I almost married. The man who ghosted me with a lie so big it made the headlines. I watched them lead him out in handcuffs. No cap, no sunglasses, just a blank face. He didn't fight, didn't shout, didn't even look at the cameras. But I knew he saw the lens, and I hoped he saw me on the other side of it. Because this time, the story wasn't his to control. Block 8. The trial that wasn't mine to win, but I did. Anyway, back in the US, Nathan was extradited and arraigned within days. The courtroom was cold, sterile. He sat in a gray suit, hands folded, eyes forward like a man resigned to the inevitable. They charged him with wire fraud, money laundering, identity theft, and conspiracy. His lawyer tried to paint him as a brilliant but troubled innovator who lost control of a risky scheme. But the prosecution had files, and I had facts. They didn't need me to testify, but I did, by choice. I stood before a room filled with reporters and government officials and told the truth. Not just the legal truth, the emotional one. About what it feels like to wake up next to someone for 3 years and find out you never really knew them. About how betrayal doesn't just hurt. It rewrites your entire memory. And when I finished, the judge thanked me. Ms. Reynolds, your courage is noted. Nathan didn't flinch, didn't look at me, and I didn't need him to. Because this wasn't for him. This was for every person who ever questioned their gut and got burned by believing in the best of someone who wore a perfect mask. He was sentenced to 18 years. And as they led him away, he finally looked back. And I didn't blink. Block 9. What comes after the ending? After the sentencing, people asked if I felt closure. The truth? No. Closure is a myth. You don't close on a chapter like that. You learn to write the next one without using the same language. I didn't go back to wedding planning. Didn't date for over a year. Instead, I traveled. Alone. 6 countries in 6 months. No plans, no hand to hold, no lies to believe in. Just me. And a journal that became the foundation for something new. A memoir. Titled, Almost Mrs. Royce, Loving a Lie and Surviving It. It was picked up by a small publisher, then featured on a podcast, then optioned for a streaming docuseries. And suddenly, I wasn't just the woman who got ghosted by a fugitive fiancé. I was a voice, a guide for others. Not about how to spot a con artist, but how to reclaim your narrative after one breaks you in half. The blog grew. I spoke on panels, taught workshops, built a community, and I wasn't healing alone anymore. I was helping others do it too. Block 10. The vow I made to myself. 3 years after the wedding that never was, I stood in front of a different audience. Not in a chapel, not in a courtroom, but at a bookstore in Brooklyn, reading the final page of my memoir aloud. I never got to say my vows at the altar, but I say them now, to myself. I vow to trust slowly, but fully, to never mistake silence for peace or perfection for honesty. I vow to be whole before I am ever someone's half. The crowd clapped, not like an ovation, but like an exhale. Afterward, A woman waited quietly by the signing table. She said, "My brother stole from me. Made me feel crazy for noticing. Your story made me feel less stupid." I smiled. "You weren't stupid. You were human, and you're still here. That makes you powerful." She cried. So did I. Because that was the truth Nathan could never erase. He didn't destroy me. He revealed me, stronger, sharper, unshakable. And when I look in the mirror now, I don't see a woman left behind. I see a survivor who rewrote her own ending, with a vow that didn't need a ring, just resolve. And I kept it. Every word.